Hey everybody, it's time for the Wonder of Christmas devotion, and the topic is Immanuel. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Immanuel, which means God with us. Matthew 1:23. Who can forget George Herman Ruth? You might know him better by his nickname Babe. Ruth was one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Sports writers called him the Great Bambino and the Sultan of Swat. One person can have a lot of names. We find that in the Bible too, where names often carry important meanings. Prophet used names to convey divine messages. We can only wonder if Hosea's daughter carried any emotional scars from being named unloved, but God was delivering a stern message to the nation of Israel. Later, God says, I will show love to those I called not loved. Hosea 2:23. Isaiah predicted the birth of a child whose name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, Isaiah 9:6. Though this prophecy was clearly fulfilled in Jesus, it's doubtful that Mary ever called him in for dinner saying, Hey, Prince of Peace, come and get it. Yet each of those names gives us a message about his identity. Hold on. The same is true for a Hebrew name we encounter 2 chapters earlier in Isaiah, Immanuel. It's a message more than a moniker. And at the time, King Ahaz desperately needed to get that message. Immanuel means God with us. Spiritually, King Ahaz was a mess. 2 Kings 16 and 2 Chronicles 28 tell his story from somewhat different perspectives. Isaiah 7 gives us a third view. Though his father and grandfather had ruled the nation of Judah in every way, hold on, I lost my spot. In ways that generally pleased the Lord, Ahaz did not. He was enamored with the gods of other cultures. On a trip to Damascus, he saw a pagan altar he liked and had one made just like it for the temple in Jerusalem. He promoted pagan religious practices throughout Judah, almost as if he was trying to keep all the gods happy. Politically, King Ahaz carried on an extended conflict with 2 neighboring nations, Israel, the northern kingdom, also known as Ephraim or Samaria, and Aram, Syria. When those 2 countries joined together to fight Judah, Ahaz made a foolish alliance with the superpower Assyria far to the east, inviting that army to come and knock off these 2 minor nuances. That's when Isaiah showed up with the prophecy about a baby being born. While we recognize the major fulfillment of this prophecy 7 centuries later in Bethlehem, it also had an immediate aspect. A young woman, some scholars think she was Isaiah's wife, or perhaps someone in the court of Ahaz would have a baby. Before that child knew right from wrong, poetically, Isaiah is describing a time period of maybe 5 to 7 years. The threats from the neighbor nations would vanish. The child's name, Immanuel, God with us. Sorry. The name delivered to Ahaz is a strong message. So Ahaz, you don't need to sacrifice every deity that catches your fancy, or to every. The one true God is here with you and cares about you and what you're doing. If you let him, God will prove himself to you, but you insist on fighting your own way. If you had to boil down the Bible to one sentence, this is a pretty good one. God is with us. The Old Testament shows the Lord interacting with his people in a multitude of ways, and in the New Testament we see Immanuel himself, Jesus Christ, taking on human flesh and living among human beings. In the Psalms and some of the prophets, we occasionally hear cries of doubt. Where are you when I need you, Lord? See Psalm 42:3, 115:2. But turn the page and you're likely to find a reminder that God is with us, an ever-present help in trouble, 46:1. Even in the darkest valleys, we can fear no evil, for you are with me, 23:4. When we're tempted to think my cause is disregarded by my God, Isaiah 40:27. We receive the assurance, do not fear, for I am with you, 41:10. Not only did Jesus promise his disciples, I am with you always, Matthew 28:20, but he also promised to send the Holy Spirit to live in us, John 14:17. Suddenly, God's presence is not just with us, but in us. This is the world-changing mystery that Paul proclaimed, Christ is in you, the hope of glory, Colossians 1:27. And in the glorious scene at the end of the Bible, a voice from heaven announces, look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God, Revelation 21:3. Preparing for Christmas. The Christmas carol, O Come, Immanuel, is a song that recounts some of the names of Jesus. It's a mournful tune with a hopeful message. Like one of the Psalms of Lament, it bemoans Israel's long wait for the Messiah. O come and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here until the Son of God appear. The carol is usually sung in the key of E minor, which fits its plaintive verse, but seems at odds with its jubilant chorus. Rejoice, rejoice, Immanuel shall come to you, O Israel. Rejoicing here becomes a kind of melancholic hope. John Piper well articulates the unique beauty of this carol. Sorrows touch every Christian. It's a wonderful thing that there are Christmas carols that are written for the real world of sorrowful joy, as well as the real world of exuberant joy. O come, Immanuel is one of them. You might look up the lyrics for O come, Immanuel. Each of the verses includes a name or phrase describing the Messiah, Lord of Might, Branch of Jesse, Key of David, and so on. Use each verse to worship the Lord of your life. Lord Immanuel, I know you are God with me, but I ask that you come close to me in these moments, in this season. I think of the names for you used in verse and song and ponder all that you are to me and others. Thank you for what you've done in my life. And then the little tidbit says, both Immanuel and Immanuel are found in the Bible and mean the same thing. Immanuel is generally found in the Old Testament and Immanuel in the New Testament, although modern translations tend to normalize the spelling in both Old Testament and New Testament as Immanuel. The variation of spelling is simply due to the differences between Hebrew Old Testament and Greek New Testament. All right, I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your Wednesday. Continue to pray for my friend Shannon's recovery and divine healing. Pray for my friend that had her ultrasound. She had it yesterday and she goes and gets results today. So pray that she gets great results and that it's nothing serious. And pray for our finances. And if you guys need prayer, let me know. I'd love to pray for you. And I love you guys. God bless.